Human trafficking's a big issue right here domestically in the U.S. It's not just overseas. In fact, the Bay Area is kind of a hotbed for it. In a recent study, the FBI identified San Francisco as one of 13 hotspots for child sex trafficking, which is horrible. Recently, I had the opportunity to bring this issue up with two of the mayoral candidates for San Francisco and ask them what they would do about it if they were elected. I'll let you judge for yourself their answers. My name is Ted Hahs, and one of the We Heart SF community members is Love Never Fails. Jen works for them, and my friend Vanessa founds it. They help victims of human trafficking. So human trafficking is a very significant issue in the Bay Area. The FBI identified San Francisco as one of 13 high-intensity child sex trafficking areas in the U.S. Some of our policies that have been made, and albeit they're not all citywide, they're coming from the state, have been very bad policies that have increased this further. What is your plan as a mayor to address that issue? I mean, I think if we're talking of aspiration for zero, human trafficking, child sex trafficking should be zero, and I think we could all agree. So what is your plan to address that?
So I appreciate that. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've been campaigning for about 7 months now. It's the first time I've asked that question. So I appreciate that. And first of all, as a parent of kids, like absolutely 100% whatever we need to do. I'm not going to sit here and BS you and say that I have a plan around this, because to be honest with you, I've never heard that being a major issue in the city of San Francisco right now. But could you, if you mind for a second articulating, you talked about some of the state policies that are not helping the situation. What are those? And what could a city of San Francisco do, in your opinion?
Vanessa could speak about it a lot clearer. I don't remember the exact one. There was one that was just passed that for the first time ever made it a felony to pay for sex with a child. So that's a good one.
So SB 1414.
1414. But there was an earlier one that decriminalized solicitation for the sake of prostitution. So, and those on the ground.
Loitering for the sake of.
Loitering for the sake of SB3, maybe, yes, maybe you can help me on that. That means the police were not able to intervene unless they had hard evidence that the child was a minor, so 17, 16, 17, and they saw a transaction taking place. And it basically, probably there's some justification for it, or at least there was some stated justification for it. But the net result was empowering traffickers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I appreciate what you're saying there. I think I understand that. Yeah, look, there was a move to decriminalize prostitution here in San Francisco for quite some time, which I would not agree with at all. I'm sorry, just the kid thing, just as a dad, just strikes me in a very, very different way. And I will be honest with you, where I've heard it the most in the city of San Francisco right now is in the intermission around Shotwell and some of these other streets, where the neighbors are having a real problem with prostitution on that few block radius on Shotwell. I think there's one other adjacent street to it where they put the bollards up, if you will, and a lot of things have been happening there. That is kind of caught the symptoms, that's the end result, the output of it, as opposed to talking about policies within that. I would just say I'm not in favor of decriminalizing prostitution or any of those law softening kind of ideas around this topic area. So whatever I'm able to do here locally as mayor, I think a lot of these laws around policing and penalties are state laws, but I'm all for listening to and moving forward with 100%. One follow-up.
Yes, I think the answer would be to engage with people who are subject matter experts, who are survivors themselves, and bring them into the process. That's one of the things we're doing. That's why we helped get behind that law that was just passed. But bringing subject matter experts like Vanessa and her network of people who can share the problem and their perspective from a different angle, bring them into the policy-making decisions. And is that something you'd support as a mayor, bringing them in to advise you, tell you what the problem is and what they see as the best solution?
1000%.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about this during Super Bowl, because Super Bowl is such a visible, and it manifests itself around that game. So I hear you. We have to shine a light on it. We have to make people aware of it. We need to do public education efforts on it so that we are keeping people aware and making sure people know to look for the signs of it. So I'm going to follow and work with organizations like yours to make sure that San Francisco is not the beacon that it has been for a very long time. I remember this being a big issue during Mayor Newsom's days, and it's still an issue here in our city. And so, honestly, when you are from 2,000 police officers down to below 1,500, like, that's a problem. Like, we need more. We need at least a fully staffed police department to help us on this. And then we need state and federal help. And I'll be working with organizations like yours. Thank you for bringing it up.